Welcome back to the foundry. Today we're going to be working on the rammer. Not exactly what I'd planned on doing today, but it must be done. First things first, I got to make some room here in the shop, bring in the rammer. Means I'm going to pull the brute unit outside. It looks like the velvet fog has visited us in the shop. And then we got the oil rig here, so I'm probably going to pull this thing out and drag it around to the yard and put it under the awning. And my little battery charger here, that should be about charged. So yeah, I'm going to roll this rig out and move out brute. Rammer is in the house once again, unfortunately. So today what I'm doing is I'm getting rid of these junky, cheap battery cable ends. This is the only factory one left on the truck, and it's, as you can see, it's wore out. And I'm going to do the same thing on this side. Get rid of these junky, cheap cable clamps, and I'm installing these solder-on units here, much higher quality. Got them at Napa. They're kind of expensive, but worth it, because you won't never have nothing but problems out of these. Never run those are junk. So the reason I'm doing this is I noticed when I'd start the truck, it seemed like it was turning over slower than usual, slower than it should, I guess. Cummins, they start so easy, so I mean it only turns over maybe a quarter, half a turn, and boom, it's going. But it seemed like it was kind of slow. So the batteries are new, but I'm still going to test the batteries. I'm going to unhook the wires, test both batteries to make sure I don't have a bad battery or something. The alternator is charging, but there's another issue I may have to address. So along with the little lag in start time, one thing it's doing is unfortunately, I'm having a little bit of trouble out of the TPS again, and the TPS is working. I don't think it's the sensor itself, because if you saw my last video or whatever video that was, I just replaced that with a really high quality unit. But what's happening is it's almost like it loses calibration after the truck sits up for 3 or 4 days. I'll jump in it, and the first 10% of the pedal is kind of a dead pedal, and it just seems sluggish. My shift points are off on the transmission, and I'm suspect of these cable ends. I know low voltage and bad connections can cause you all kinds of weird problems, electronic problems. So I just want to eliminate these and make sure they're good, make sure the batteries are good. I've already checked my grounds. There's multiple little body grounds, and then my 2 engine grounds. I need to look and see if there's more. Those are just the one I went over. I traced the wires, and those are the ones I found, and they all look good. There's no corrosion. They look like they're really tight, so I don't think I have a ground problem. But one thing I read that it could be, or that could be causing problems, you see there is a new alternator on this truck, and previous owner put that on, and I don't know how long he ran the old alternator, if it was bad, why he replaced it, if it wasn't charging, or if he was having other issues. I'm really not sure. But I do know that when an alternator goes bad on a 24 valve Cummins, if you continue to drive it, it could fry your computer or the electronics in the injector pump. So I'm really hoping I don't have to get into that. You know, we'll see. But if I do all this and the problem persists, I'm going to pull this alternator off, take it to automotive electronic shop, have them bench test it. From what I read, the issue is, even though it is charging, these are prone to leak AC voltage into the system, and that's what screws up your computer. And it also wreaks havoc with all kinds of other stuff. But this problem is intermittent. It doesn't do it all the time. So it's really good. It's a head scratcher. I'm absolutely almost sick of these older electronic diesels. My 7.3 Power Stroke had all kinds of little electrical gremlins on that I had to work out. Ended up having to put a computer in it. Those are extremely hard to find. Had to do some other stuff, and I'm just sick of working on electronics on old diesels. So anyway, that's my little rant. I'm gonna nip these cable ends off, solder on my new ones, test my batteries. We're gonna recalibrate the TPS and then see what happens. All right, we got a couple of these done. These solder on terminals, major improvement over this junk. Just throw these, melt these down and make musket balls out of them or something. I don't know, they're useless. So basically how they work is you take this solder plug, just a little solder plug there, and you can use regular solder, whatever, but these are super simple. If I can hold everything, you just take and drop that in there, stick your wire in on top of it, and then heat up this portion until the solder comes bubbling out. You know it's good and melted, and push your wire in there as far as it'll go and hold it, let it dry, you know, 30 seconds or whatever, and then you're good to go. Now unfortunately, I had the right size for the, I believe this is like 1/0 cable, but this is 2/0, and I don't have one big enough, and Napa is closed. They're the only place in town that sells them, and they close early on Saturdays. So I need one more over here, one more over there, but a friend of mine says he may have some, so he's going to go look right now, and if he does, I'll have to put my clamps back on, or my clamp back on this side, crank the truck up and drive it over to his place and fix it over there. All right, so he had a couple. This one ended up being the same size as that one, but we needed a 2/0 over here, or 2/0, and went ahead and unhooked the air intake heater. These two here, those aren't really necessary in our climate. All it does is drag down my electrical system. So got that unhooked. These are hooked up as best as I could with what I've got on hand, but everything's tight, clean. Anyway, I just cranked it up and it works good. Brad came through in a pinch. Tinted the windows on this thing the other day. I think I went with 15%, so they probably look a lot darker in this video than they actually are, but I don't want them too dark because driving at night's awful, especially if you're pulling a trailer. And you know, I work around with this rig, and I really want to be able to see pretty well, but it sucks to be fishbowling in there with no tint on the windows. It just burns you up when the sun's out. So I kind of went with a 15%. It may be 20, but I'm pretty sure it's 15. I can't remember, but I think it looks real nice. I'm just letting this thing warm up a little bit. It's running really smooth, as you can see from the tack. Let's see here. Yeah, throttle's real touchy, like it's supposed to be. So it's been 1 week since we did our little battery cable end repair, and it solved one of my problems for sure. The jury's still out on the other problem because sometimes it takes a while for it to show up. But yeah, it cranks over really good now, like it's supposed to. And so I think that had a lot to, those shoddy clamps, I think had a lot to do with it. As far as the other little electrical problem, you know, time will tell, but it's a step in the right direction. It had to be done. you know, regardless. So that's going to wrap up this one, and not a super huge video, but just another step in the little Dodge Rammer project series. And so hopefully you enjoyed it, and if you did, do me a favor, hit the like button, go ahead and subscribe if you like the little series, and I'll see you in the next one.